The path that you're walking on right now, challenges will arise. Obstacles will present themselves. Stagnation will happen. The question is, can you pivot when that time comes? Can you adjust and adapt whenever things are not going your way? Whenever you have to adapt, whenever you have to pivot and try something new? Are you resourceful enough to adapt to the times? You see, most of the times whenever we are set in our ways, we become content with our circumstances, with our condition, even with our physiques, our mindsets. We get fixed in those areas. And then we kind of get stuck in our ways, and then we kind of get left behind because we are not aware enough that it's time for us to pivot. You could be trying something for so long and you're not seeing the results that you want to see, and you're going to keep doing the same thing, which is going to cause you to go insane. But can you adapt and can you pivot when things change? Can you pivot? You need to be able to pivot at any time because things can go south at any time. You have to be prepared. You have to be self-aware that whenever these things happen, you can make the pivot that's needed to either do more and become more or to see the results that you want to see. Like this morning, I was headed to the gym after I dropped my daughter to school. I reached down in my bag to take my insulin to eat the food that I was going to eat before I get to the gym. Well, the pen that I had with my insulin in it, I didn't have nothing but 1 unit. So what did I do? I didn't want to drive back home and then drive way back to the gym because that's going to be cut into my time of doing other things. So instead, I knew I was going to come here to the park and do these videos for you guys. So I did a quick body weight workout for the same muscle group that I was going to go work out at the gym. That's making a pivot. That's being able to adapt to the situation that even though I've created it, I adapted to it. You guys have to find that area in your life where you have to make a pivot. That way you can make the changes and still stay on the path. Still forging forward, making that path for you and those people coming behind you. But you need to learn how to pivot and adapt to the changes or to the situation at hand. You need to be able to think quick on your feet, not slip up, so you can maintain your progress on your path. Many times, a lot of motherfuckers, they don't know how to pivot. They don't know how to make the necessary changes that's needed for them to stay in the game. They'd rather not make the changes. They'd rather cut into times that they know they should not be cutting into. They know it's non-negotiable, but still, they're going to do it anyway. You have to learn how to pivot. You cannot be stuck in a situation that's not giving you the results that you want, and you stuck there. You don't want to make the changes. You don't want to pivot because you're comfortable. You're afraid of new things. You think that people are going to talk about you when you make the pivot. Fuck them. Make the pivot. It's your lane, your life, your path. You cannot be stuck. You cannot be stuck on what somebody might say about you, might think about you, how they may feel about you when you make the pivot. You need to make the pivot. You need to make the changes that's needed for you to stay in the fucking game. All right? You cannot be trying a diet that you know is not bringing you the results that you want. It's not bringing you closer to the physique that you want. Okay? You're saying you're eating a balanced diet, but you're eating 70% of more trashy processed foods than the processed foods that's really good for you, or the packaged foods that's really good for you, or that can help you get the physique that you need. You don't want to make the changes to make the 70% the good food and 30% the trashy food that you eat. And when I say trash, I'm just talking about the things that don't give you the results. Okay? Yes, there are times I still eat chips. Yes, there are times I still eat candy. Okay, I am human. I like these things. But what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to let these processed foods lead my life. I'm not going to let these processed foods control my food intake. I'm not going to let these processed foods affect the results that I want. Because I know when it's time to bulk, I'm bulking. I know when it's time to cut, I'm cutting. But I know when it's time for me to have a good time and live a balanced life or have a balanced diet, I know what foods I'm going to eat and what foods I'm not going to eat. I know how much food of which I'm going to eat, and I know how much foods of the processed foods that don't give you results, I know how much of that I'm going to eat. Okay? It's all about knowing how to pivot, how to adjust, how to adapt to when the times change. There's a situation right now in your life that needs for you to make that pivot, to make that change, but you don't want to make that pivot or that change because you're afraid of what people might think of you. You're afraid because you don't trust yourself. You don't trust your intuition. You don't trust your abilities. That's why you haven't made the pivot yet. Once you guys understand that that pivot is what's needed for you to get the results that you want, you'll make the pivot. I used to stay fucking stuck when I knew things wasn't working out. And the only reason why I was staying stuck was because I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust that internal voice, that intuition, that God voice that always told me to make the pivot right here. Think about this. Whenever you know you should be making a certain turn on the street and you make the turn that you're not supposed to be making, you know that certain things could happen. You know that it might be a dead end. All right? And now you got to turn back around anyway. The same thing that's going on in your life. A lot of you are on these programs that's not giving you the results that you want because you're not working the program. And you think that is the program that's wrong. No, you're not working the program. You have to find out where you need to make the fucking changes, where you need to cut the fat in your life, where you need to know where distractions are coming from. That way you can prevent them and avoid them at all costs. But you will only know that whenever you make the changes. You'll only know that whenever you self-reflect, whenever you become more self-aware. And just because you have to pivot, it doesn't mean that you have to get out of something. It doesn't fucking matter. You just have to know that it's time for me to pivot. It's time for me to pivot. It's time for me to make the changes because I'm going to go insane if I don't. Remember, guys, I believe that mindset training, personal development, fitness, and nutrition are the three main pillars to living a better life. Let's get it!